Hello, today we'll look at inverse tangent. Make sure that you do watch the regular graph of tangent video before you watch this video. Let's get started. Okay, do you remember what tangent looked like? It was that wiggly function that repeats every pi. And if we draw that, it will look something like that. And then you're going to have another one later on and so forth. Another one on the left. Here you go. And it has asymptotes at pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. And since this looks like a one-to-one function, I am going to limit looking at my inverse in that window here. So I know tangent x, that red one, I'm going to limit my x from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, where my y is going to go from negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at the inverse of that. Remember how inverse works. If I have my red one, my tangent, right here, okay, at pi over 2, it's going to blow up. At negative pi over 2, it's going to blow up. Then I go and I draw that y equals x to be able to reflect that along y equals x axis. And then I draw the inverse. Okay? And look at my inverse. It looks something like this. It's hard to see. It goes forever to the right, forever to the left. And what is that limit? And that is actually pi over 2, negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So it's important to see that. So what happened? X is negative infinity to infinity. So, and the y has to stay negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. In other words, when I take inverse tangent, I am supposed to stay in this region, negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So I cannot get an answer like in the second or third quadrant. I need to stay in first and fourth quadrant. So when you put in all this, and it's going to look like that. So first and fourth quadrant, that's all I need to remember. Let's go and take an inverse tangent of something on the calculator. So let's take inverse tangent of negative 1. Some easy. So inverse tangent is actually built in as well. Make sure that your mode is set to radian first, and then get out of there. And then we are going to take inverse tangent of negative 1. All right? What is that going to give me? And I actually recognize that 0.78. And that actually is pi over 4, but it is negative. Okay, so my calculator knew how to take inverse tangent. And it gave me negative pi over 4. So let's see how I figured that out trigonometrically. So let's say I'm looking for tangent of inverse tangent of negative 1. So let's look at that. What angle is going to give me tangent of 1? And I know that is that angle, if I remember my little table, that is pi over 4. Okay? The problem is I'm not looking for 1. I'm looking for negative 1. So what tangent gives me negative 1? It's going to be this one, because I know it is negative here. So my reference angle is pi over 4. All right? And remember what I do. I'm supposed to stay in 1 or 4 quadrants. So it's going to be pi over 4. And then remember how this was. It was negative pi over 2, pi over 2. So I go and I just take that angle, which is negative pi over 4, and which was consistent with what I saw on my calculator. So let's go do another one. what would be tangent of -1, tangent inverse of rad 3 over 3? Again, you have to know basic angles like pi over 3, pi over 6, pi over 4, you know by heart. So I know that one, if I remember my basic trigonometry, what angle gives me pi over 3, rad 3 over 3, and that angle was pi over 6. And remember, I'm supposed to be either in quadrant 1 or 4, and this is positive, so I'm in quadrant 1, so the answer is simply pi over 6.